The date was August 6th, 1945. The time was 8:15 in the morning, and then there was an explosion. An explosion that, within seconds, put hundreds of thousands of people in Japan into an eternal sleep. That morning was the most terrifying and painful in Japan's history. People were heading to their jobs. Children were leaving for school. Everyday life in homes and on the streets was busy as usual, with people going about their routines. But suddenly, people saw something falling from the sky, which hit the ground within seconds. As soon as it touched the ground, there was a massive explosion. All around, there was only smoke to be seen. A huge ball of fire was visible. Destruction could be seen everywhere. For a moment, it felt as if the sun itself had descended to the earth. At that time, the temperature at these explosion points reached around 3,000 to 4,000 degrees Celsius. After this, on August 9th, 1945, at exactly 11:02 a.m., a second disaster fell from the sky onto Japanese soil. After that, Japan surrendered its weapons in the Second World War, and the Second World War came to an end. In this way, the world witnessed the devastation of the atomic bomb and the horrific end of the Second World War for the first time. The Second World War happened because of the First World War. But the question arises, how did it actually begin? Why was such a massive war fought once again in history? Why is Hitler considered responsible for the Second World War? Why did Hitler's Nazism give rise to a war like World War II? And finally, how did the League of Nations, which was created to maintain peace in the world, end up failing so badly? World War II, which we also know as the Global War. This war was fought on a very large scale, with all the major powers participating. In this war, the world was found to be divided into two parts, just like in World War I. The only difference was that there, the war was between the Allies and the Central Powers, while here it was between the Allies and the Axis powers. This war was also called a total war, mainly because of the involvement of civilians. That is, before this war, civilians were not made a part of the conflict. But here, even civilians were not spared. In this war, civilians also did whatever they could to support their country. Because of this, all countries began to consider ordinary people as part of the war as well. Armies bombed people's homes, hospitals, shelters, and public places too, so that those helping the military could also be eliminated. In this war, all countries used every resource they had against each other, which especially included the nation's economy, industries, scientific capabilities, air force, and army. There has also been a debate about the exact date when this war began. Some people say the war started on September 1st, 1939, but some consider the beginning to be the Sino-Japanese War of 1937. It ended with the atomic bomb attack in August 1945, when Japan surrendered. In the Second World War, around 60 to 80 million people lost their lives, including 50 million civilians and 25 million soldiers. Never before or after in the world have so many people died in such large numbers. That's why this war is called the deadliest conflict in human history. During World War II, the world was divided into two groups, known as alliances. The first group was called the Allied Powers, which included the UK, France, USA, USSR, China, Poland, Yugoslavia, and Greece. The second was the Axis powers, which included Nazi Germany, Italy, and Japan. By the way, let me tell you that Italy was with the Allied powers in the First World War, but due to some disagreements, Italy switched sides and joined hands with the Axis powers. The biggest reason for the start of World War II was the outcome of World War I, which sparked a sense of revenge among the people of Germany. Before World War I, Germany was developing at a good level, and its economy was quite strong. Germany was a powerful and strong nation, so much so that even after learning about the war, Germany didn't get nervous at all. One reason for this was that Germany invested heavily in its armed forces, making them bigger and stronger. Germany was confident about its victory even before fighting the First World War. But in World War I, the Allied powers badly defeated the Central Powers. The Central Powers commonly included Germany, Austro-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, and among them, Germany was treated the worst. The victorious countries left the defeated nations with nothing. The UK, France, and Russia broke up the defeated countries and divided them among themselves. By the end of 1918, Germany was just a defeated, fragmented country that had no choice but to accept the demands of the Allied nations. The war destroyed Germany's economy. It ruined the people here and made them part of different countries. After the war, Germany underwent political, social, and economic changes. A difference could be seen among the people of Germany. There was a huge gap between the rich and the poor here, which kept increasing social unrest. Besides that, unemployment and many diseases were also seen. Many people died simply due to starvation and illnesses. Germany had neither a government nor money to run the country. Because of this, the country kept sinking deeper and deeper. Almost all of this country's resources were divided up by France and the other countries. The victorious countries signed all kinds of treaties with Germany with such strict terms that they could ruin any nation. After the war, everything was taken away from Germany. Its people, its status, its army, its identity. At the end of World War I, when Germany lost, the Allied countries signed the Treaty of Versailles with Germany, which had very harsh and humiliating provisions. The Treaty of Versailles was officially signed on June 28, 1919, marking the end of the war, in which all the victorious countries made demands for their own safety and security. But among all of them, France made the harshest demands. That's because if you look at the map of Europe, you'll see that France and Germany share a border. Because of this, France didn't want to take any risks in the future. For this reason, France first demanded the Treaty of Reparations, the demilitarization of the Rhineland region, and the War Guilt Clause. Let me tell you, the Rhineland is the area between Germany and France, which was very important from Germany's point of view. But France insisted that Germany should never station its army in this area, so that France's safety would be ensured. Apart from this, even though every country suffered heavy losses during the war, France put all the blame for the destruction on Germany. France declared Germany responsible for the war and demanded that Germany pay for the losses caused by the war. At that time, Germany was forced to pay about £6.6 billion. Apart from this, the treaty also included a demand for the demilitarization of the military. Germany was not allowed to maintain a military beyond a certain limit. All these demands filled the German people with anger. They were completely against this treaty. This treaty sparked a sense of revenge among them. The Weimar Republic had no other option but to accept the demands of the Treaty of Versailles. The Weimar Republic was Germany's new government, which had signed this treaty. Because of this, people were also angry with the Weimar Republic. Somewhere, they also started blaming the Weimar Republic for their situation. Because of this peace treaty, Germany lost its overseas colonies, a tenth of its population, 13% of its territories, 75% of its iron, and 26% of its coal. After World War I, the League of Nations was established. The idea was that there would never be another world war again. The job of the League of Nations was to establish peace and harmony in the world. But nothing like that happened. Right in front of it, many countries did whatever they wanted and didn't listen to the League of Nations. It was created in 1919 as a peace organization. At the time it was formed, it was decided that if any problem ever arose between countries, they would resolve it peacefully by talking in the League of Nations, not by using force. But it came to be seen as a failure. Many countries never even joined it, and those who did eventually left. This included Germany and the USSR. Besides, the League itself didn't have its own army, so it couldn't stop any military aggression. Because of this, the failure of the League of Nations ended up being one of the main reasons for World War II. After the war, Germany was already struggling with a lot of problems and an economic crisis. Whatever was left was made worse by the Treaty of Versailles and the war guilt payment. The harsh sanctions of the treaty pushed the people there into a terrible situation. Seeing the condition of its people, the government started printing money like crazy, which only made things worse for Germany and caused inflation to skyrocket. Anyway, there came a time when everyone in Germany had piles of money. People would take carloads and bags full of cash just to buy a single loaf of bread. Kids used to play with bundles of money. The value of German currency kept dropping drastically. Seeing Germany in such a terrible state, America stepped in to help and launched the Dawes Plan, which helped improve Germany's situation. From 1924 to 1928, Germany experienced a period of stability, but even this stability was only temporary. In 1929, America's Wall Street exchange crashed. This incident triggered a wave of recession around the world. Even America's income dropped a half over the next 3 years. Factories started shutting down, exports kept falling, farmers' conditions worsened, and money dried up in the market. After this, America also stopped supporting Germany, hitting Germany with 2 shocks at once. One was the end of financial aid from the USA, and the other was the global economic crisis. Germany's situation kept getting worse. By 1932, Germany's industrial production had dropped by 40%, leading to widespread unemployment. Unemployment was at such a peak that around 6 million people were jobless in Germany at that time. People started chanting slogans in the streets. People began carrying large banners saying willing to do any work as they looked for jobs. People's trust in the government also started to waver. People began chanting slogans against the government. But even the Weimar Republic had no solution. After that, finally, Hitler took advantage of all these situations. Hitler was responsible for World War II. We all know this, but how? To understand this, you first need to know how a boy from a simple, ordinary family who only wanted to become a priest or an artist ended up becoming such a cruel dictator. How did Hitler end up killing millions of people without a second thought? After the Great Depression, Germany's condition was dire. Hitler took advantage of this opportunity and started promoting his party. He held huge rallies, gathered people, chanted slogans, and most importantly, gave speeches. There was something magical about Hitler's voice. He had the ability to manipulate anyone with his speeches. He ran his Nazi propaganda and managed to entangle more and more of Germany in his words. Hitler promised the people that he would change Germany's fate. He said he would never accept the Treaty of Versailles and would take revenge on all the other countries for Germany. The people of Germany were influenced by Hitler's words. After that, elections were held in Germany and Hitler's Nazi party won. Sometime later, seeing Hitler's popularity among the people, on January 30th, 1933, President Hindenburg made Hitler the Chancellor of Germany. After that, Hitler introduced an enabling act in Germany, and once it was passed, Germany became a dictatorship. This act gave all the powers of Germany to Hitler. As soon as Hitler came to power, he completely transformed Germany. The very first thing he did in 1933 was to withdraw Germany from the League of Nations. Then in 1938, he took back control of a place called Rhineland, which had been taken away from Germany according to the Treaty of Versailles. At the same time, Austria and Germany were reunited. After this, Hitler turned his attention to Western Germany and took over Czechoslovakia. All in all, within a few years, Hitler had completely changed Germany's fortunes. To fix his country's economic condition, Hitler decided to go to war. On September 1st, 1939, Hitler launched an attack on Poland. Germany also made a well-thought-out plan for this attack. Germany dressed its own soldiers in Polish uniforms and had them make an announcement against Germany itself so that people would think Poland attacked Germany first. Germany was just responding to what Poland had done. So as soon as the plan succeeded, Germany attacked Poland. Within just 2 days, France and the UK also joined the war. That's because both countries had formed an alliance with Poland, according to which, if any country attacked any one of the three, the other two would fight on that country's behalf. After that, on September 3rd, the UK and France attacked Germany, and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and Canada also joined in. At the start of the war, Japan and Italy are on Germany's side, ready to support Germany no matter what. Both of these countries fight on Germany's side until the end of the war. Let me tell you why Italy, which fought on the side of the UK and France in World War I, decided to switch sides this time. Actually, at the end of World War I, Italy was ignored by the Allied powers. They didn't pay any attention to Italy's demands either. And on top of that, while all the other countries gained a lot at the end of the war, Italy got nothing out of it. In fact, because of the war, Italy's economic condition got even worse. Italy was upset with the Allied powers because of all this, which is why this time it sided with Germany. At the start of the war, Hitler acted smart and joined hands with the Soviet Union. He wanted Germany and the Soviet Union to attack Poland together so that Poland would have to surrender immediately. After that, Germany and the Soviet Union would divide it among themselves. That's pretty much what happened. Both countries attacked it together, and after winning, they split it in half between themselves. Seeing all this, France and the UK were furious. Understanding this, Hitler even sent a peace proposal to both these countries. But both these countries rejected the proposal, so the war continued. Now, on one hand, Hitler was taking over country after country. First Rhineland, then Austria-Hungary, then Czechoslovakia, and then Poland. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was watching all this and also started invading different places to expand its own territory. After taking half of Poland, it attacked the Baltic nations, which included Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. The Soviet Union easily defeated all three of these countries. After that, the Soviet Union took over Finland. Following this, the Soviet Union withdrew itself from the League of Nations. On the other hand, Hitler's desire to acquire more and more territory kept growing. Because of this, in April 1940, he also attacked Denmark and Norway so he could protect iron ore shipments from the Allied powers. In fact, the Allied powers were trying everything to stop Germany, and one of their plans was to cut off iron ore from Sweden to Germany. However, they were not successful in this. On top of that, Germany also conquered Denmark and Norway. But now Germany becomes quite troubled by France's constant involvement, after which it makes a plan to attack France. But even this time, Germany doesn't attack France directly. Instead, just like in World War I, it plans to attack France through Belgium. In the attack on France, Italy sides with Germany, and on June 10th, Italy attacks France. Together, both countries reach Paris, France by around June 14th and force France to surrender. 8 days later, France signs a treaty with Germany and admits defeat. Germany defeating France in just a few days was a huge deal. After this incident, people started to fear Hitler. No country wanted to mess with Hitler. Hitler's name was being trumpeted everywhere, but the UK still didn't give out. They rejected Hitler's peace proposal. After that, in July, the air battle of Britain begins between Germany and the UK. At that time, Britain's air power was quite strong. Because of this, both countries fought each other in the air. But here, Germany's air force turned out to be weak compared to the UK's air force. After that, Hitler started bombing different states of the UK using planes. But this didn't really achieve anything. Britain simply refused to surrender. Meanwhile, Hungary, Slovakia, and Romania also joined the tripartite pact of Germany, Italy, and Japan. This made the Axis powers even stronger. After that, with Hitler's support, the Axis powers also started showing their strength. As a result, Italy attacked Greece. But here, Britain stood by Greece to help. Because of this, the British army drove Italy out of Greece. But here, Hitler sends his army to support Italy. So both countries attack Greece again, and this time they conquer it too. In this way, the war continued for some time. If you look at it, by 1940, everyone in Europe was ready to support Hitler in World War II. Because of this, Hitler was at the peak of his power at this time. But intoxicated by his own power, Hitler makes a mistake here. Because of this, Germany loses the war. Actually, as soon as Hitler sees that he is winning the war, he also wants to fulfill the dream he has had for years. According to that dream, Hitler wanted to capture Eastern Europe, which was a part of the USSR. In 1941, Hitler declares war on the Soviet Union. For this, Operation Barbarossa is launched. Under this operation, the first thing Hitler does is break the Ribbentrop Pact he had made with the Soviet Union. Hitler thinks he will easily defeat the Soviet Union, and in the beginning that's exactly what happens. the German army gradually starts winning over the Soviet Union from the east. They keep conquering Soviet territories one after another, but only until December. After that, there was a severe snowstorm in the Soviet Union. Only the Soviet Union was capable of fighting in such conditions. For any other country, fighting in so much snow was impossible. That's why, before the winter months arrived, Germany conquered as much of the Soviet territory as it could. But after that, the Soviet army drove the entire German army back to Berlin. Hitler failed to handle both Britain in the west and the Soviet Union in the east at the same time. The Soviet Union's army defeated Hitler's forces. This marked the beginning of a new era for the Soviet Union in the world. Meanwhile, America had stayed out of the war until now. But then Japan bombed America's Pearl Harbor Island in the Pacific Ocean. After that, America became part of the war. This war dragged on for a long time. Hitler could see that he was losing control over the war, but he decided to stay in Berlin until the war was over. When Hitler learns that Germany has lost the war, he shoots himself and his wife. This marks the end of the world's most dangerous dictator. As soon as the news of Hitler's death breaks, Germany surrenders. But Japan still refuses to give up. They continue trying to win the war on their end. But in response to this effort, America drops a nuclear bomb on Japan. The United States carries out nuclear attacks on two Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, one after the other. After this, Japan is completely devastated. The nuclear bomb has a terrible impact on Japan. It takes them years to recover from it. However, after that nuclear attack, World War II also comes to an end. On September 2nd, 1945, Japan surrenders. World War II has a huge impact on Europe. Not just Europe, but the entire world is in a terrible state. For the first time, the world had witnessed a war of this scale. Although World War I had happened before this. But the nuclear bomb gave this war a horrifying dimension. For the first time, the whole world witnessed such a dangerous use of a nuclear weapon. It's a different story that after this, every country started trying to develop nuclear weapons of their own. By the end of the war, millions of people had been killed. Millions of people became homeless. The European economy completely collapsed. Along with it, the European industrial infrastructure was also destroyed. Even the countries that won the war were in terrible condition. America lost hundreds of thousands of its soldiers. The Soviet Union was also struggling with a shortage of money. Later on, a period of Cold War was seen between these two countries. It lasted for years and only calmed down after the Soviet Union broke apart. After this war, colonialism and imperialism also came to an end. Dictatorship in Germany and Italy also ended. Germany was divided into two parts, West Germany and East Germany. West Germany was controlled by Britain, France, and the USA, while East Germany was controlled by the USSR. After World War II, freedom and nationalist movements began to rise in Africa and Asia, or you could say they gained a lot of momentum. These included Britain's colonies like India, Myanmar, and Egypt, America's colony, the Philippines, France's colony, Indochina, and the Dutch colony, Indonesia. Apart from this, the economic crisis was a major problem, which led to a rapid increase in unemployment. In addition, the UNO, or United Nations Organization, was established. The League of Nations was dissolved, since it wasn't really effective anyway. However, the UN lived up to the expectations people had of it. The UN made every effort to bring peace to the world. During World War II, India was under British rule, which automatically made it part of the Allied powers. As a result, about 2.5 million soldiers from India fought against the Axis powers. Out of these, around 87,000 Indian troops lost their lives, and about 34,354 soldiers were seriously injured. In addition, about 67,340 Indian soldiers were taken as prisoners of war. During World War I, the British government not only sent Indian soldiers to fight, but also started exporting food and other supplies from here to London so that the soldiers fighting there wouldn't have to face food shortages. On top of that, during this time, Bengal's laborers started getting paid in cash instead of grain, and all the grain was being sent out. Now, the workers had money in their hands, but because of the shortage of grain in the market, the high prices of grain were making things difficult for the common people. In such a situation, small farmers and laborers left their homes to look for jobs in the British Army. As a result, millions of women, elderly people, and children were forced to live on the streets. In 1943, a famine struck Bengal, in which nearly 3 million ordinary people died from hunger and disease. From here, raw materials like jute and cotton were already being sent to Britain, which meant that India had become just a market for them. Now, in this situation, the large-scale export of grains and food items was crippling India. However, after the end of the war, the Quit India movement in India was now in full swing, and after the devastation caused by the war, even the British government was finding itself unable to suppress such a massive movement. It was only then, in August of 1947, that India finally broke free from British rule. We hope you enjoyed this informative video on World War II. If you liked the video, be sure to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.